Large revolutions are taking place in Iran, Egypt and Libya. They're often called Twitter revolutions because protesters use Twitter to communicate with each other. We talk with Geert van Oortmerssen, full professor in the evolution of internet from Tilburg University, to look at these revolutions from a scientific point of view. Was it really a Twitter revolution, or was it something else?
Well, first of all, I think Twitter revolution is a bit a limited term. I think it's more social media or internet what is causing the changes that we see. I'm convinced that the internet and social media play a very important role. We see very fundamental changes everywhere in our society, but what we see happening now in the Arab world is certainly triggered by the internet. And I think that we see several, or you could see different phases. First of all, before a revolution can start, I think internet is helping people to be aware of the situation. People are not happy with the regime they live in. By social media, I see that many people think the same way. So it's social media are connecting many people, and so they become aware that there is a critical mass in the country of many people that more or less think the same way. Mm-hmm. And also maybe people who haven't really thought about the regime or the government become aware of the situation and become aware that they are not happy themselves. It's also very remarkable that it's not just one revolution in one country, but it's one country after the other, and we see that it's like a contagious disease that's spreading all over the Arab world, and internet is also playing a role in that process. I'm pretty sure that in the end the dictatorial regimes will be thrown over. Mm-hmm. Maybe it will take a long time if they have a strong military force like in Libya, so it's not going that quickly. But in this phase, we also see that internet helps to really make the revolution to a success and to let's say make it happen quicker than in the past, probably. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important also in the phase that people are really fighting that social media are helping them in several ways. On the one hand, the social media show what's happening, and this somehow, I think, strengthen the people to continue to fight. But maybe more important is that also the outside world sees what happens and becomes aware of what's going on, and like in Libya, and nowadays we see a revolution starting in Syria. Mm-hmm. And already the international community is now reacting on what's happening in Syria. So that's another effect, that social media help to make transparent what's happening.
And visible, maybe.
Visible, mm-hmm. Yes, and therefore also, how do you say, awakening the international community. Mm-hmm. And triggering action from the international community.
Some people argue that WikiLeaks was one of the causes for the revolutions in the Arab world. For this reason, we discuss with Professor Oortmerssen about his opinion on WikiLeaks.
Well, WikiLeaks is a very interesting phenomenon, and I've been thinking the last months a lot about the implications of WikiLeaks, and also had very interesting discussions with my students about WikiLeaks and about questions like should everything in principle be open, or is it allowed to have secrets? I think we need also some secrecy, like the protection of our privacy is in fact also requiring a certain secrecy about things that are really very personal to ourselves. We should be able to keep that secret. Also, the government, I think, should be able to keep certain things secret, at least for a certain period of time. If you have high moral standards, I think you will always be willing to explain what you have done and why you have done it, to be transparent afterwards. Also even in situations where, as I said before, secrecy is important for a while. I think after some time you will always be able to give full openness about what happened and why you have done what you have done. Therefore, I think it's good that you have movements like WikiLeaks, people who are really questioning the actions of governments, especially of totalitarian regimes. Well, their transparency can help to fight those regimes, or to correct those regimes. Maybe you don't always need a revolution, but like in the United States, I don't think we are waiting for a revolution to throw over the U.S. government.
Some do.
Maybe some, but WikiLeaks and transparency will certainly affect the government, and I think they will change their behavior probably, and that's a good thing. I think internet will play a role in our country or in the Western world in general to develop democracy further, because well, we have a certain way that we're used to, but also in our country I see that the political or the political process is changing, also because of social media, and I expect that also in our country we'll have a process of rethinking our democratic structure and our democratic process.
Professor von Oortmerssen is one of the authors from the article The Value-Driven Web, in which he discusses vital values that will enable us to mold the internet according to societal ideals. We discussed this article with him to conclude this interview.
I would define it as that before we develop new applications for the web or new standards for the web, that we think about our values. Implicitly in the web as it is and in the software that we use, there are values. Some software is really designed or used to control people, to check people, and other software is actually empowering people to be more creative and to be more open and to share information. And that's a completely different attitude, you could say. And in many cases we see that the software and the web has these properties, but without us beforehand thinking about it. So it's implicit but not explicit. I think we should agree upon a set of shared values. And yes, you're right, our values are determined by belief, by culture, etc. And the complete set of values of different people in different places will be different, of course. But I think that there is, or we should strive for a set of really globally shared values. And an example is the human rights statement of the United Nations. That's also something that should be valid everywhere for everybody in every country. And you could think of such a set of values.